80 flooded settlements and tens of thousands of people left homeless, Russia committed a terrorist attack at the Kakhovka hydroelectric power station, which created the largest man-made disaster on the territory of Ukraine since the accident at the Chornobyl nuclear power plant. A mass evacuation has been declared in the disaster area. I live on the island. They say it will be flooded completely. We were driving in a full police car. We passed the bridge and there we were taken further and further and further. The Russian invaders blew up the Kakhovka HPP from the inside at about 3 o'clock in the morning of June the 6th. The construction almost completely collapsed and a huge flow of water from the Kakhovka reservoir rushed down the Dnipro river. Thus, the Russian occupiers want to stop the counteroffensive of the armed forces of Ukraine in the south. Moreover, initially, the occupation administration of Nova Kakhovka stated that there was no explosion at all, while the propaganda telegram channels reported about, quote, minor damage in order to stop the armed forces of Ukraine.
The so-called mayor of Nova Kakhovka, Leontiev, denied RIA Novosti information about the explosion of the Kakhovka HPP, calling it nonsense. He added that everything is quiet and calm everywhere in the city. From the official RIA Novosti channel.
Within a few hours, Nova Kakhovka, like dozens of other settlements around, began to be flooded. The lower reaches of the Dnipro spilled, according to various estimates, by 200 meters. The maximum water level will reach at night 24 hours after the explosion, according to the Kherson Regional Military Administration. In Kherson itself, the water can rise by another 3 meters. A Russian terrorist attack will deprive up to 40,000 people of their homes and cause enormous damage to nature.
This is just one day of Russian aggression. This is just one Russian terrorist attack. This is just one Russian war crime. Now Russia is guilty of cruel ecocide. Any comments are superfluous. The world must react. Russia is fighting against life, against nature, against civilization. Russia must leave Ukrainian land and bear full responsibility for its terror. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on Instagram.
Because of the terrorist attack at the Kakhovka HPP, the danger of other disasters is increasing. Thus, a strong flow demolished the minefields that the Russian invaders set up on the left bank of the Dnipro. In addition, many cities received water from the Kakhovka reservoir. In Kryvyi Rih, with a population of more than 600,000 people, problems with water supply have already appeared. And the largest in Europe, Zaporizhzhia MPP, takes water including from the Kakhovka reservoir for the cooling system. However, now the water level there will drop dramatically.
Only a real terrorist state can arrange a man-made and environmental catastrophe of such a level, and it will certainly answer for this, both on the battlefield and in international courts. Our task is to bring to justice not only the top of the Putin regime, but also ordinary perpetrators of crimes. Vasyl Maluk, head of the Security Service of Ukraine, on Telegram.
Russia's sanctions caused serious damage to the occupiers themselves, so on the left bank many defensive positions previously set by Russian troops were flooded, and the North Crimean Canal, control over which Moscow declared as one of the goals of unleashing a war against Ukraine, is already getting shallower, because it originates from the Kakhovka reservoir above the dam. From the taps in the flats of the northern Crimea flows water that is not suitable for usage.
Of course, the North Crimean Canal will remain without water. There will be no water in the Kakhovka reservoir. Of course, there will be no water in the canal either. It goes without saying. And we will need to restore this issue very quickly after the deoccupation. Igor Sirota, General Director of PJSC Ukhrhydroenergo, on the air of the Ukrainian National Telethon.
Meanwhile, international organizations in their characteristic manner react extremely passively. So in the morning, when it was already known about the dam explosion, the UN congratulated everyone on the day of the Russian language. And only 9 hours after the Russian attack, a post was published where the explosion itself was condemned, but not its organizer, Russia. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine condemned such hypocrisy on the part of the UN. The Foreign Ministry also called on the G7 countries and the European Union to introduce new strategic sanctions against Russia, and also announced the urgent convening of the UN Security Council and the IAEA Board of Governors on the issue of the Russian terrorist attack.
The explosion of the dam of the Kakhovka HPP is an ecological and technological act of terrorism, the biggest technological disaster in Europe in recent decades. Yet another example of Russia's genocide against Ukrainians. This is the Kremlin's response to countries calling for peace talks with the Russian Federation, from a statement on the website of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine.
But personally, many Western politicians and managers came out strongly against Russian terror.
Putin did not hesitate to employ hunger as a weapon, energy as a weapon. He weaponized winter. He is playing a nuclear gamble with nuclear power plants in Ukraine. So this is, again, new escalation, new sign of escalation, bringing the horrific and barbaric nature of Russian aggression against Ukraine to unprecedented.
The evacuation of the population from the disaster areas continues. People are being taken in particular to Odessa, Mykolaiv, Khmelnytsky. Several more regions said they were ready to host residents from the disaster zone. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Danilo Kobza, UATV News.